Hello, everybody. Welcome to the 110th episode of the Manor Podcast. I'm your co-host, Roger Bodee, joined as always with my best friend and other co-host, Michael Hamilton. Michael, I'm pleased to announce to wrap up all of our special guest appearances. We have one last one, and it's Mr. James White.
Woo. Where is he?
Oh, oops. I thought you were supposed to book him.
Oh, no, I did not.
You didn't call him up?
I didn't call him up, no.
I forgot to call him up, too.
I do have his article he just wrote, though.
I guess we could just talk about that.
That's probably good enough, you know.
It's his words. We'll read them on the cast. His words will be on the podcast. He's basically our special guest at this point.
Yeah, so we are out of special guest month, right? We're in September now. We're in Rosetta about to happen. We got this new article about what constructed is going to look like in the future.
Yeah, and we're going to Florida in a couple of days here for the World Premier in Tampa, and lots is being shaken up where we're ready to dive back into Flesh and Blood. No more Magic the Gathering for a while. No more Alpha Clashing and maybe sorcering, but a lot less. It's time to focus up on Flesh and Blood again.
Yeah. It's got some good news. So.
Mm-hmm. So good news is a bunch of cards are banned. Bunch of them. This is a lot. There's a lot of cards banned.
There are a lot of cards banned. You got the list?
Yeah. Art of War, Bonds of Ancestry, Cash-In, Orion of Mystic Tenets, Tome of Aetherwind, Tome of Divinity, Tome of Findle, Tome of Firebrand. And then Bonds of Ancestry is restricted in Living Legend. I feel like a really smart podcast was talking about Bonds of Ancestry over the past few months, saying that it was way too pushed for just a generic Clash card, and just like having an Anthem in Ninjas is just going to really restrict design for what Ninjas can do. I feel like I heard that somewhere on a podcast somewhere. Have you ever heard anything like that?
Bonds of Ancestry discussed on a podcast?
Yeah.
I don't know. No, definitely no one was saying you should put blue bonds in your Zen decks when the hero was first spoiled.
Nope. Never once heard of it.
Never. Mm-mm. So, yeah, I think outside of Bonds of Ancestry, these are all cards that draw cards, right? That got banned.
Yeah, basically. They are all either card draw, or I guess in this effect, it's a tutor effect.
Yeah, it's like basically you draw one card and you attack for 4 a lot of the time with bonds, but it's whatever card you want. So I guess it is also kind of like drawing cards. But anyway, yeah, all these cards that kind of, if you go into the article that came out on the main Flesh and Blood website, it talks about how the game is supposed to like reward good decisions on your 4-card versus their 4-card hand plays. And these are the cards that kind of allow you to go significantly above and beyond what is normally possible in a normal turn cycle. And they don't want that to happen anymore. They don't want people to get 30 value on a turn cycle, I guess, without significant setup.
Yeah, I was about to say, if we're going that hardcore, then we got some more bans we got to do.
Yeah, but these are cards that you don't have to set up to do the thing. You just like draw these cards in the right combination of cards and you get 30 value. Whereas like,
if you play an E-Pot, if you take a whole turn cycle to play an E-Pot, then you're getting 0 value. So thinking your 30 value turn is more like 15 and 15, which is more reasonable.
Yeah, and they cite OTK Viscerai as another deck that in the article that they don't have a problem with, because you're basically playing all these rune chant making cards that are like, when you play, oh gosh, what's the card called that just makes 3 rune chants? It's just Read the Runes. When you play a Read the Runes, you're getting 3 value for your card and your action point. Then later when you attack and you trigger all these rune chants, it's not like you're getting all that value that turn. You build up the value over the turns before, and then you're cashing it in now.
Yeah, and like Bolton, you play your 2-card 3s for a bunch of turns, and then your 4-card, 5-card 30 is fine.
Yeah, I think Bolton might be the one that's like the most questionable still. That's legal, because like you need like a card and soul and a Spirit of Irina in play, which is some setup, but not that much setup for your 30 damage combo.
Yeah, true. And it does get more consistent with the new charge equipment. And There is also seeing spirit in your first like 3 or 4 turns. Like that's pretty unlikely. Like you're still more likely than not to not have spirit out in like your first 3 to 4 turns.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, we'll see on Bolton. The jury's out there.
Yeah.
But for now, he is safe. Nothing's banned from Bolton yet.
Yet.
It
was going to be a wild day if they banned something like Yellow Bolt of Courage is banned.
No. They banned Courage of Bladehold, I'm pretty sure, if they wanted to axe it.
That's true. That would be sad. Oh well, we'd survive.
Anyway, that's another world. That's not the world we live in now. Bolton's safe for today. So, yeah, I think that I actually booked my trip to Osaka a few weeks ago, but getting this news makes me feel a lot better about my decision to go out there and play some Classic Constructed.
Yeah, I was kind of low-key dreading the release of Rosetta, not for Zen specifically, but for Kano. Legitimately, I posted on Twitter this past week that it's all good and well that bans are coming for Zen, but I was just like, how is Kano not just going to show up and just dominate and just crush everyone all over the place coming up in this set? He like the new cards that he's getting, like people are like, oh, we got like 30 new blue zaps or whatever, but it's way more than that. I'm trying to pull up the actual card name. I know it's the one that like is Surge, you make the 2 resources. Do you know that card's name off the top of your head?
I don't know the name of the card, but yes, that card is very, very, very good with if you cast
Overflow the Aether
Wild. You cast it. Then
yeah.
It's very,
you
very
just
good.
get like, yeah, you wildfire and then you hit this off the top and then you just get like more resources and then you do the thing and then you get to play your Tome of Find All and then draw more cards, and you get to play your Tome of Aetherwind and then draw more cards, and then you play another Overflow and then get more resources and then you draw more cards. But you know what? It's gonna be harder to draw cards now, huh?
Yeah. The Kano consistently played 3 Tome of the Aetherwind, 3 Tome of Find All. So that's 6 tomes. Some of the best cards in Kano now banned.
Yeah.
And
go ahead.
I was going to say, this makes it harder to basically have the turns where Kano sometimes just like does 40 damage on turn 1 or does a bunch of damage early on. Because normally like Kano needs to set up these energy potions, get to his pitch stack, and then he can do all this damage. But sometimes if you didn't have that stuff, you just activate Kano, you hit a tome. Maybe you Ragamuffins another tome or something, or you Deja Vu potion a tome, and you're just like off to the races. But now without the tomes, it'll be a lot harder to do that. And I think the new blue that you were talking about, I think it'll still be good as part of a pitch stack kill. It's a blue, it's easy to pitch. You can still wildfire into it and get them. But I think Kano getting these tomes banned means that he's just less likely to randomly kill you or high roll kill you in spots that like his 4 cards plus already developed resources wouldn't be able to kill you.
Yeah. There's so many games that I've been playing against Kano where it's like, I'm about to run out of resources. Oh, I flipped a random Tome of the Aetherwind off the top, drew 2 more blues, did 2 more Kano activations, and look, there was another Tome of the Aetherwind or Tome of Find All there, and then I just drew like 3 more cards, and it's like, oh, okay, that was cool. That was fun.
Mm-hmm. Very fun.
That's not going to happen anymore. But nested in there was something. Was the last card that I think I'm a little surprised not to see on this list if they're really going after true degeneracy, and I think it is Energy Potion. I wouldn't be surprised to see Energy Potion go at some point.
Yeah, I think Energy Potion's more fair because like you're spending your card and your action point to set up this thing that's worth.
Kano isn't. Icelander wasn't.
Yeah, that's fair. That is true. But all the cards that got banned were all cards that they don't cost that much setup to get get more out of them than what you're putting.
Tome of Find All you had to put in your arsenal.
You did not. You just Kano'd it off the top. Kano'd off the top. That's not to be in your arsenal. That's the times that when the Kanos were playing it from arsenal, that was the times when you didn't feel like you were dead. You're just like, oh.
Tome of Divinity, you had to put a card in your soul.
Yep.
Orion or Orion, you had to have a chi card. We all know how hard that is to do.
So all these cards that they basically are just letting you go plus a bunch of cards for doing a thing that your opponent can't really interact with. It's not like if you've hit with 2 chain links this turn, you can play your tome of hitting with chain links and draw 3 cards or whatever.
True.
Which,
and go ahead.
Just these are all cards that, as a defender, you could not interact with.
No.
There's no way to block with all your armor, block with them to stop their tome. The tomes just happen.
True. I was trying to think. Isn't there like that one card? Draw a card. If your opponent, I think it only stops card draw on your turn, right? Draw.
Yeah. Because I was actually thinking about that card. I'm like, oh, this is just like weaken their Art of Wars, but no, it only stops it if they draw cards on your turn.
Yeah.
It's from the
Everfest item slot, the carnival slot. Everybody has fun. How could we forget such an impressively amazing, impactful card as that? Oh, well, whatever. Talisman of Tides. There we go. Boom. Found it. I see people on Twitter going pretty wild with this now. Like, oh man, I can't believe you banned these cards. Why isn't Siren's Call banned too? Oh, you banned these cards. Why isn't blah blah blue
Blood Rush
blue
Bellows
banned too? And it's like, so should we just ban all the fun, powerful cards in Flesh and Blood now because we deem this class of cards too good? Like, is that the expectations now? Like, oh man,
Codex
why isn't
get it out of
here? It's like, oh, you could, that was the other big one, Codex of Frailty. But like, people are like, why isn't Codex of Frailty banned? This is now the best card ever. And it's like, sure, but it still requires some setup and like, there's like give and take to it still, right?
Yeah, I don't think any of it's about how much setup they require, what they require to do. I think the fact is that all the cards that got banned let you go way above rate on one turn. Codex, well, it does let you go above rate. It's over 2 turns, so I think that feels more like not out of line of what they're trying to do. They just don't want you to get killed from 30 on one turn, and all these cards are letting you kill people from 30 in one turn. Whereas right, Codex, maybe they're at 30 and they end the turn at 10 and you get a ponder token, but it's not all that damage in one turn.
Yeah, and there's still counterplay to it. Like if you sit a card on Arsenal, like there's still like interesting decisions to make on your end, even if you're not the one playing the Codex, to like play around it still. So yeah, I don't know.
Well, you can't ever stop them from getting the 2-for-1 out of it.
Sure.
But yeah, I think Codex is like way more powerful than I think what we want average cards to be or what we want cards to be. But it is not. It is doing something different from these cards where it's not just like Hyrule killing you in one turn.
I just realized I killed the deck I was about to brew because I was checked out of Flesh and Blood for so long and we still don't even know what all the cards in Rosetta are. We'll get to that in a second. But I can't build Brainstorm Ocilio anymore. I was just gonna draw a million cards with all my tomes and my cash-ins and all, and I'm just gonna then use my Ocilio ability to draw more cards and then just brainstorm things. I can't build that deck anymore.
You still can. You just somehow need to come up with a bunch of coin tokens, copper, silver, gold to draw cards.
Yeah, I got to play like Hope Merchant's Hood and Potions of Lux. Yeah, I'm off it. Oh well, unlucky. I'll have to figure out something else to do.
But yeah, I think there are a few heroes that seem like pretty big winners from these bans. Enigma comes to mind as a hero that I like that her worst matchup got a lot less bad now. I think KO also looks a lot better where he was still very good and didn't get anything banned. None of these cards were cards that KO played. So I think Levia also looks pretty good. I think she sometimes played Art of War, but I heard that Ethan wasn't even playing Art of War in the latest builds to enable the new card. They get to banish 3/6 costs or 3/6 power things.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not up on the current Levia trends.
Yeah. So I think that Brute's looking good. Enigma's looking good. And Ninja not looking too good anymore. They were broken and now they're toned back down.
Yeah. And I was about to lament Enigma's rise to the top potentially because I like New, and New is not very good into Enigma. But there's a bunch of arcane damagey people coming out, and maybe those people are good checks into Enigma. Like Rune Chance seemed like they could be potentially problematic for her to deal with, or just like the arcane damage as well. So we'll see.
Yeah, split damage can be really annoying. I think also big chunks of arcane damage where it's like bigger than your arcane barrier. It's hard to protect your ward if they shoot a big tall spell for 5 damage or 6 damage or something.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we'll see. I think the new heroes could be pretty good against Enigma, though. I think traditionally Enigma hasn't minded playing Warmonger's Diplomacy, so maybe the Runeblade matchups will be like kind of swingy, where you have your Warmonger's Diplomacies and they have their split damage to kill your auras. We'll have to see.
Yeah. There's a bunch of new exciting things to figure out. But baked into all this was the whole variance argument. And there was the infamous, we're ramping up variance, a year and a half ago. And James White specifically calls up that they are not happy with the degree of variance in the game, and that one of the core tenets of the game are supposed to be, like you mentioned earlier, that your decisions and the value plays that you set up are supposed to be the determining factor in who wins. And I spoke to many a competitive player in our circle who have lamented the past year and a half of design because of the ramping up of variance, and it feels like the agency that they used to be able to express over a game no longer mattered as much, and that was extremely frustrating and disheartening to people.
Yeah, I agree with that. That was how I felt as one of the many players that you spoke to.
Yeah, I spoke to you a couple times over the past year and a half, I think.
Weird.
Yeah. And to that end, I think that's what Flesh and Blood does need to do to survive long term, where there's the argument, well, you need to dial up the variance so that way new players can win, and that it's not just strictly, a game of chess or anything like that. And Flesh and Blood will never be a game of chess. It's just too complicated. There's still way too many variables for it to be that deterministic as a game of chess. And if you're going to market a game, if you want the game to fulfill a niche, and then say we're the best competitive card game, we have the best competitive circuit, we're the best way, if you want to engage and compete and be this type of like player, here's the game for you. And I don't think that's so wrong to have a game like that. I wanted to get into this with Brian a few weeks ago, but I didn't. But it's just kind of like the argument, like, does everything have to be for everyone all of the time? Like, I understand that you don't necessarily want to gatekeep people, but it's not about gatekeeping. It's about if I'm red, I can't be blue. Like that doesn't mean that there's something wrong with blue. It just means that I can't be red and blue at the same time. And that if I like, sure, we can make purple, I guess, but like that, I still just want the core color of red, I guess, for this analogy I'm cooking up here.
Yeah,
Does that make any sense?
Sometimes if you're purple, like people that want red and the people that want blue, neither of them are happy,
Exactly. Yeah.
So yeah, I agree. And I think I've very recently started playing Path of Exile. I'm not very far in, but that's a game that like it went for a very specific niche audience. And now it's like a huge game where like everyone that's into that niche has at least tried Path of Exile.
And we even see that something like Sorcery, where it's very much not a game for everyone, but like if you're into that old school like TCG kitchen table fun storytelling gameplay experience, like Sorcery's a great game for that. Like it's a great casual fun game, and they lean into that. They specifically don't have a line by line freaking comprehensive rules because they think that would be too alienating to players, because they just want to remain that level of casual. So yeah,
to your dismay.
Yeah, one day we'll see. But yeah.
So I think that I agree. I think Flesh and Blood, when we first got into the game, it was like, this is going to be a low variance card game. It's still a card game, but low variance for a card game. And it's going to be very focused on the competitive scene. And I think that it felt like that was kind of being lost over the last couple of years. And now they're just like doubling down on it. They're like, this is what we want. And that's very exciting as someone who, that's why I was playing Flesh and Blood and why I'm into the game.
Yeah, it's like it's all coming full circle. where we started with Aria and it was a low variance, high powered card game. And now we're back to Rosetta and they're toning down the variance, bringing up the power again.
Yeah, I'm excited.
So I'm excited for Tampa. I still have concerns where if you asked me for the world premiere of Japan, I was like, oh man, there's still a lot of the set missing and I have to know these cards in 2 languages. So that was my worry there. But there wasn't that many cards missing ultimately. I don't know the exact number, but we knew like 90% of the set. I think it was like a couple legendaries and maybe like 1 or 2 majestics missing. I think we're missing like 20 like unique cards at this point in time. There could be a couple tokens baked into that. And the cards that are legal for it, like non-expansion slot cards, I think it ends on 230. But then if you look into, I didn't do the unique numbers on how many unique cards are in that 230, but like, let's say we cut it down to like 150.
You're talking about the set number, right, for the cards?
Yeah. So missing like 20 cards out of that 150 or something like that, or 160, that's still like 10 to 20% of the set missing. And that we're not even just talking about commons and we're not legendaries, majestics here for the set. There's common level cards that we just don't know in the set. And so it just feels really weird. Like I don't know how to prep for this event. Like I'm just going to show up playing cards and try to figure it out on the fly. But like I just don't feel like I have any like effectual way to prep for the event other than watch the little videos of the Flesh and Blood team playing their pre-con blitz decks.
Yeah, because you get in Friday. When do you get in Friday?
Thursday night, midnight Thursday night. I'm playing in all the world premieres.
So that's the prep. That's a whole day of prep. You just jam all the world premiere stuff, and then boom, you're ready for the calling on Saturday.
So I that was my plan in Tokyo as well.
Uh-huh.
It did not work out very well for me. And looking back on it, it was like, if we think about how Mysteria Limited worked out towards the end of the format, like there was a secret 4th Mystic Hero people were talking about. There, like at the end, we saw in U.S. Nationals, there was almost a perfect like 3-3-3 split of every hero being viable and drafted in representation, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that was not the case in opening weekend of Tokyo. Everybody was like, Zen is broken. Like, just force Zen all the time. Just build Zen in your pool and just always force Zen in all the drafts. And like, no one should ever play Enigma. And there were 2 people in the room that were the exception to that. That I was aware of, at least. Brody Spurlock and Michael Fung, and they thought Enigma was broken. They were like, just always build Enigma. Enigma's like crazy, dude. You just play an aura and then you protect that aura and then you win the game. It's like ridiculous. And like they did, Michael Fung finished like 2nd, I think, in that tournament, and Brody finished like just outside of top 8. Like they crushed it on just their force Enigma strategy. And so that's nowhere near the balanced representation that we wound up seeing at the end of the format, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think regardless of what their strategy is, those are 2 players that I expect to do well at most events they play in.
Fair.
Like they could have been like Force New, and I would expect the results would be similar.
I was a Force New believer. That was not the right way to go about my life.
I think New is a little bit weaker in that sealed format because everyone can side out their good blues, and that's kind of rough. Maybe like I think earlier on, maybe people won't realize they can do that, but if they're just sideboarding out their good blues and playing just the bad blues or maybe a slightly lower blue count, it can be pretty tough to be new and sealed. I think draft kind of fixes it because you don't just have like a million extra blues. But
I learned that lesson the hard way. I went like 1-2, in like the calling, and then the next day I just listened to Brody and Michael Fung in the open portion of Battle Hardened and played like my somewhat mopey Enigma deck with like 2 Waxing Specters, I think, or like something I had. It's just top 8'd. And I get to a top 8 draft and I force Zen for some reason and instantly get knocked out of top 8.
No, you should have played Enigma again.
What are you going to do?
Oh. Yeah, I think I don't think there will be like one hero that's just like what you should be doing in sealed. I think like I'm kind of suspicious of Acilio, the Lightning Wizard. in sealed. I think it might be hard to have all the cards you need to do the thing, but I think that the other 3 heroes seem like they should all be fine in sealed.
What is his thing?
I don't know. Playing sigils, bouncing them, discarding them.
Yeah, I was watching the Blitz gameplay thing, and it was like he just discarded he like used his ability to like discard once, and aside from that, he was just playing like lightning cards and dealing a bunch of arcane damage. And it's like, so you're almost borderline textless hero ability that like sometimes lets you filter. I guess I don't know.
Hey, filtering is good. Sometimes they attack you, and you look at your 2 engines that don't block, and you're like, man, if one of these block 3, we win the game on the spot. And then you activate your hero, and then you get a 3 block, and then clean.
Yeah. I'm scared I'm not big brain enough for Acilio, I guess. Like, yeah. I can kind of get the game plan of everybody else, but Acilio. And did you watch those Blitz gameplay videos?
I have not.
You should. The devs made some plays that I'm like, Michael would lose his mind about this. The one that sticks out to me was that it was Florian versus Acilio. Mm-hmm. And the Florian player on turn 0, instead of arsenaling his 3 for 7, it was the one that you can discard it for 2 life, and he discards it for 2 life instead of arsenaling his 3 for 7 on turn 0.
What do you arsenal instead?
Nothing.
You start with 4 cards. How do you arsenal nothing?
He attacked. He attacked with some cards, or made a setup thing. I forget what he did. He did something.
Okay. Yeah, you should arsenal your 3 for 7. You shouldn't discard it for 2 life. 3 for 7 arsenal's worth more than 2 life.
Yeah, but he was like, yeah, but Acilia's going to deal a bunch of damage he does to me, and I can't do anything about it. But it's like, if you just attacked him, then he has less time to do damage he does to you.
Well, okay, so if you can't do anything about it, if you're worried about action point economy, maybe you can't, if you can't block with your cards, but Acilia's attacking with physical attacks, but if you can't block with your cards, and you have no...
There was a lot of arcane damage, to be fair. And he did die to arcane damage, so...
Sure. So if you're not able to block with your cards for value, maybe there's a reason to gain 2.
That was the logic he gave.
But if you can't block with your cards and you won't have action points, then sure. It could be correct. But
I just feel like if that's the correct play in like games against Wizards in the format, I'm gonna lose a lot of games.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like that's something that you should be arsenaling it the first like 4 or 5 times it comes up until you're proven that it's wrong, because that card at Arsenal is worth at least 3, and it's a good red. Probably it's worth, well, it is worth 3 because you spend a blue and an action point in this card to get 7 damage. That's exactly 3 value, because 3 resources and action points 4 value, and then 3 more for the card. Boom. Mm-hmm. Lines up. Discarding is 2 value. 2 is less than 3. So you gotta be very confident that there is specific matchup reasons to take a different line.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll see. He also died before he got his Florian ability online.
That's rough. That doesn't seem like what you want to be doing.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. I've been looking over the spoilers that we do have and try to learn the cards.
Yeah.
It's hard because there's like only so many ways I can look at Zap and try to differentiate them and try to remember it, while also trying to learn about different legal concepts since I started law school again recently.
Yeah. I think the Zaps, it might be like the cheat cards in Limited where like most of them were like probably the same value. Roughly the same value. Maybe one might be slightly better. Or the blue stealth cards, like they're all like basically the same thing. They're not, but they're basically the same thing.
At least you're going to be writing home in this format, man. Can you believe that Findel's Fighting Spirit's a common now? That's crazy. That card was a rare. Back in my day, this was a rare card.
Common or Icelander just got a lot better, by the way.
Oh, you got Wounded Bull and Findel's Fighting Spirit in Common or Icelander now. Watch out, everybody.
But I think, I don't know. I'm just excited to try it out. We're flying down. You said Thursday evening for you. I get there Thursday afternoon. Probably playing Blood on the Clock Tower on Thursday until we get access to the venue on Friday morning, and then I'll go play some Sealed, get ready.
Yeah. Oh well. I just I'm now looking at over all the spoilers again.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to be like, it's just so hard. It's just so hard. At least I know what some of these, like, I know what Meet and Greet does. I know what Heaven's Claw does. I know that one. So they changed their reprint policy. Did all my Heaven's Claws foils lose all their value? Can I open up more foil Heaven's Claws in this product? Because I'd be happy and sad at the same time.
You said they changed their reprint policy?
Yeah.
I don't know if I missed that article or what they said.
It was like during Collector's Week a few weeks ago.
Oh yeah, I didn't pay attention to Collector's Week. I'm not a collector. I guess I have a lot of Flesh and Blood cards, but I would not consider myself a collector. I just have them because I need them to play the game.
Fab PCG reprint policy. Because at first I knew it was only cold foils. Rainbow foils effective August 5th, 2024. A rainbow foil included in retail booster sets will not be reprinted as a rainbow foil outside of the original set it was released in unless the reprint features new artwork. So yeah. So that means in this set you can't get more foils Heaven's Claws because there's no new artwork on this.
Yeah.
Card.
Yes.
So same with Lightning Surge. I wonder if they balanced that. Yeah, like I wonder if that would like skew one, like maybe there's slightly no, because I think all the classes and all the people or all the talents got reprints, right? Because like Aether Quickening's a reprint in Wizards, Meet and Greet's a reprint in Runeblades, Lightning Surge is a reprint in Lightning. I have placeholders active. I think that means there's going to be slightly more Earth than Lightning. There's slightly less Earth. Like I think the only Earth reprint is Autumn's Touch.
Okay, so
there's 3 Earth cards in common that we don't know, so those could be reprints. But already we know in Lightning there's Heaven's Claws, Lightning Surge, Flash as reprints.
So if the foil slot is just random between all the cards that can be foil, then yeah, you're right. We should get slightly less Lightning cards in the foil slot than Earth cards.
It's interesting.
Assuming that there's an equal number of Earth and Lightning cards, which I haven't added up, but I assume that would be the case.
Yeah, I would assume that's the case as well. I've not added it up.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to see, I guess. I don't know. I don't think that'll make that big of a difference because the foil slot's like, if your foil slot's like
sure
45% to be, sorry, it'd be like 20% Earth, 25% Lightning because they're going to be class cards a decent amount of the time. Then I still don't think that makes that much of a difference whether you should be like, I think the ideal draft pot's probably still going to be 4/4 between Earth and Lightning.
I guess that makes sense. I could still use, obviously that real life will never be strictly to the ideal. I wonder how often and what it'll be like when things deviate from that 4/4 split.
Yeah.
We'll imagine see. Lightning decks get like, honestly, I'm just really scared of Lightning decks. Like I'm really just scared of like a Lightning. I almost want to lean towards Earth just naturally because the idea of a Lightning mirror terrifies me, where I feel like it's going to go 2 turns where it's just like, oh, I did a bunch of arcane damage. You did a bunch of arcane damage. Okay, we're all dead. And it's like, okay, all right. There's no arcane barrier. My cards, I have a bunch of instant sigils that don't block. What were we doing here?
Yeah, I don't know. I would be surprised if games are consistently that short. I think enough of the damage is going to be physical that you can block a lot of it and limited. Maybe that wasn't the case in Blitz, but I think it'll be hard and limited to do that much arcane damage.
Yeah, I guess we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. I haven't played with the cards yet, but
you want to talk weapons?
Sure.
So we got Florian's weapon. I think Florian has the best weapon. It's the Rotwood Reaper, which is 2 resources for 2 physical, but if you created an aura this turn, this gets +2. I need to have Josh Scott on here. Why isn't it if an aura entered your under your control this turn? Like that seems like an easier, like why is it play or created? How would you get an aura if you didn't play or create one? If I give you an aura, if I give you a Frostbite token.
Yeah, that is actually a relevant thing. Frostbite's
Okay. All right, I got there. I got it. Okay. I reasoned my way through it, but still, that's pretty strong. It's no Rosetta Thorn, but it's pretty good.
Yeah, 2 for 4. It's a Romping Club. Romping Club was very good in limited. It is the same rate as a turned on Claw, Mandible Claw, also because you're getting Mandible Claw. You're getting 2 for 3 with Go Again, which is the same value as 2 for 4. You're getting 4 either way for 2 resources. That's quite good for a weapon. I think that it won't be too hard to turn on either. I think there's a lot of auras. The sigils are auras too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So lots of ways to turn this on. I think it's pretty strong.
Yeah. Starfall seems pretty good. It's 1 for 1 damage, but if you played a lightning card this turn, it gets +1 and Go Again. So
yeah, 2 resources for 1 damage with Go Again. Also great. Same rate as the other weapon. I think that this condition seems also
it's only 1 resource to swing with this one.
Yeah, 1 resource for 2 damage with Go Again.
Okay.
This condition of needing to play a lightning card seems also quite easy to do, though I do think it might be kind of hard to line this up to be able to spend the full 3 resources every turn with lightning with oh gosh, what's her name?
Aurora.
Yeah. So I think that if you can figure out a way to curve your resources to turn on the sword and spend all 3 resources, I think this weapon's very powerful as well.
Yeah. And then we get into the weird ones. These are some we'll get I don't know how to evaluate these at all because we haven't seen weapons like this ever before. I guess that's not true. What was Kano's weapon? It's basically Amp 1, right?
Yeah, Crucible of Aetherweave.
Yeah, it's just basically just pay a resource Amp 1. But these are not that.
No.
Where this is Staff of Verdant Shoots. Once per turn, pay 3 resources, Amp 1, Go Again. And that's an action. So it's not an instant.
Yep.
When 1 or more Earth cards are pitched this way, the next time you deal arcane damage this turn, create Embodiment of Earth token.
Yeah, so I think this weapon kind of sucks.
So if you're not pitching an Earth card to this is horrendous.
Yep. If you are pitching an Earth card and you amp 1 and then you deal arcane damage, you get your Embodiment of Earth. So you're spending a blue basically for 1 damage and an Embodiment of Earth. So if your Embodiment of Earth is worth 2 value, you are breaking even on your blue pitch. And if it's less than 2 value, which to get 2 value, you have to block with 2 different non-attack action cards. If you get less than that 2 value, then you're not getting the full 3 points of value out of your card. I think this weapon it is very easy to turn on. It's not that hard to pitch an Earth card. You just need a lot of Earth blues in your deck. And I assume you want that anyway in Verdance. But I just don't think this weapon's very good.
Yeah. This is just very expensive. 3 resources to amp 1, especially when we look to Volzar.
Yep.
Volzar?
I don't know how to say it. Volzar sounded good to me.
The Lightning Rod. If you control an aura permanent with sigil in its name, this costs less to 1 resource less to activate. Okay, cool. Once per turn, instant. Okay, that's better than an action. Pay 1. So if you have an aura permanent with sigil in its name, this is free to activate. Amp X, where X is the number of lightning cards you played this turn. That seems pretty good.
Yeah, I think this is going to be quite powerful actually because it costs 0. You can play like multiple 0 cost spells to do the thing or 0 cost things. Like if you have, I know this is a Majestic, but it's right next to it on the spoiler sheet, so I'm going to talk about it anyway. If you play Sigil of Brilliance, then you play a lightning card. Now your Voltzar costs 1 less. If you play a lightning zap, there's a lightning zap, right?
Yeah, zap's just a card in the set. Or no, flash. What's this? There's Fry. There's no zap. I don't see a zap around. Maybe there is a zap. Oh yeah, no. All the whatchamacallits are zaps. No, those are shocks. No zaps. Okay. Or a zap in the set.
No, wait, there's no lightning wizard.
Zap was just a common wizard. That was that's what you were confusing me with. Zap sounds like a lightning card. I was looking for lightning cards, but zap is not reprinted in the set. No, itself. Okay. The shocks. That's the shocks are all like the 1 damage arcane pingy things. It looks like.
So this is actually going to be worse than I thought it was because there's not any 0 cost lightning arcane damage cards that you can amp because you can't amp your physical damage cards, right?
Oh man, I just had Josh Scott on and he explained this to me. I already forgot. I need to be smarter, man. If I when you play the melded cards, after you've melded, does that count as having played one cards or two cards?
One card. It's
And
it's all one card, but it resolves on two separate. Like it resolves each one individually, but it's all one card. It always
okay, so if I meld my null shock, that it still only counts for one lightning card played for Volzor's effect.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Here we go. All the shock split cards work with this, huh? So yeah, if you can play your shock and respond to it with a Volzar activation, and it'll see that lightning card was played, and it'll amp it for the extra because the lightning card was played.
Yeah, I expect this to be like a pretty consistent, if nothing else, like amp 1. Like maybe if you're really doing it, like free amp 2. But like, yeah, like that's like a free 1-2 points of damage here or there on your weapon. Pretty good.
Yep.
Free is a pretty good rate to get on your weapon.
Agreed.
So
yeah, I think it'll be pretty strong too. I think Verdance is the only one that really got the short end of the stick, the literal. I think our weapon's literally a stick. So oh, it's a flower.
It's a little flowery to you.
Yeah, flower, stem, stick, all the same.
There's no Earth Wizard cards that we've seen, right? Like they didn't do class talent.
There's
cards, really?
There's the meld cards.
Thing.
Yeah.
That's
it. Same thing for Auxilio. It's just the meld cards.
That's weird.
Agreed. It's a little weird, but
we also don't have like the base elemental cards either this time around.
Yeah. Wait, also the base elemental wizard cards or the base?
Just elemental card.
Yes.
Yeah. Remember it'd be like there was like a 0 for 4 that was like just base elemental,
like so anybody could put.
Yeah, Twine Lightning. Like none of those cards are hanging out. Yeah.
But now all the heroes care about playing cards of their elements. So it kind of makes sense. All the characters in their weapon or their weapons at least.
True. I guess the like base elemental cards aren't that much more meaningfully different than generics, other than like stratification. But yeah,
they were mainly different because they had the fuse mechanic, which we don't actually see anything with fuse returning in the set. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, I liked fuse.
It was cool. But it also. I think it'll be a cool experience to move away from it because fuse, you always wanted to get like these element cards that are good to arsenal because most of the time you fused, you would arsenal whatever card you fused on it because most cards don't have go again. So I think it'll feel very different than Tales of Aria did, which is cool.
Yeah. Especially without old time. No old times floating around.
No, we didn't get our adult Terra. Yet. We didn't get our adult Terra yet.
I just want to know like how much this life gain matter. The whole life gain versus the lightning thing is just like such an interesting dichotomy. After I watched those split games, that really stuck out to me more so than anything.
Yeah, I feel like the Fruits of the Forest is the card you're talking about from the video, where you'll use this instant effect when you can't really use the card for anything else. I think usually you'll be able to get more value out of the card by playing it or pitching it if it's the blue one. But it's like the windups where you mostly just discarded them if you had like an extra card you couldn't spend or you needed to enable Claw. Well, we don't have Manable Claw that you need to enable, so it's just if you have extra cards you can't spend that you'll really be looking to discard them.
Yeah. Harvest season doesn't look very exciting to me.
Agreed.
Especially when it's not red. At red, maybe like I'd see like maybe playing it here or there, but at blue and yellow seems very sad.
Yeah, I think the red harvest season does seem pretty solid in Florian because you can play it into the weapon and you're getting a 2-card 7.
Ooh, that is pretty spicy.
Yeah, which 3 of it's defensive, which might mean your opponent can't spend their whole hand how they want to, where you're basically gaining 3 life and attacking for 4 with your weapon.
Yeah, and then in Verdance, it's a 2-card 4 after you've done her thing.
Enabled your ability. Yeah, but I mean, 2-card 4 that you still have 2 resources floating. So if you can get 3 value out of those 2 resources and your action point, because it doesn't cost your action point either, then you're golden. So if you can play like a 2 for 6 afterwards, then you did it.
I need to look at like the costing of all these cards too. Like I see like I don't see a 2 for 6 yet. I see a 2 for 5.
There's Summer's Fall at rare as a 2 for 6.
Yeah, and like you have to balance like these decomposed cards then with everything. It's like how do you factor in like how many decomposed cards do you want versus like base talent or like base class or generics. There's the Earth Heroes. There's a lot going on there.
Yeah, it's gonna be tricky to figure out, but we got plenty of time, you know.
Maybe I take it all back. Maybe I'm just gonna be a lightning gamer. Maybe I'm just gonna just throw all my damage out and be like, you figure it out. You decompose. You show me how to do it.
I plan to. I am very excited to play these Earth Heroes.
I'm just gonna be blasted. So, anyways, then I've started blasting.
Yeah, I think Autumn's Touch is going to be a very good card in this format as well. Just Earth block 3 is hard to get, and you really need them to decompose. You need these 3 block Earth cards here.
Is it the only Earth 3 block?
I think so.
Maybe that's how they balanced it out. Maybe now they consider the talent cards. No, talent cards usually block more. I don't know.
In the past, talent cards have frequently blocked for more. Like we look at the Draconic cards, a lot of them block for 3. We look at the Light and Shadow cards, a lot of them block for 3. But we'll see. We'll see. I think that I don't know. It seems like they have a lot of 2 blocks in the set by design. So.
Oh, because then you get the embodiment of Earths and they all block for 3 anyways. Okay.
Sure, but there's not really good ways to create embodiments of Earth. Don't really want to be doing Verdonce's weapon, right?
Maybe. I don't know.
We'll see.
You gotta spend cards in your hand some way. Sometimes.
Yep.
You got Sigil of Sanctuary. Leaves the arena, create an embodiment of Earth token. It's got Arcane Shelter. And I was like, wait a second. Arcane Shelter, why is this a new keyword? What about just like, and I was like, oh, well, ward would like hit any damage.
Yeah.
And what was the old one? Spell Void? Oh, yeah, what was wrong with Spell Void?
What's the difference between Arcane Shelter and Spell Void? Can you read an Arcane Shelter card to me?
Arcane Shelter says, if we be dealt arcane damage, destroy this and prevent 1 of that damage.
What does Spell Void say?
Spell Void. If you would be dealt arcane damage, you may destroy this.
Oh, it's optional versus not optional.
It's like the ward of Spell Void.
Yes. Spell Void is not optional.
No, Spell Void is optional.
Or sorry, Spell Void is optional. Arcane Shelter is not optional. Yes.
You know, sometimes I say things like, Arcane Shelter is the ward of Spell Void, and I've like, if you were just like a random person on the street and you heard me say that, be like, what the are you talking about?
Yeah. But it's fine. I'm not a random person on the street, and our listeners aren't random people on the street.
True. They are wonderful people, our listeners, especially as we ramble on for this extended period of time here.
Yeah. So we'll have a lot more information about how to crush Rosetta Limited when we get back next week, right?
Yeah, we'll do Rosetta Limited deep dive and how we won a calling.
Yep.
Or Battle Harden, how we did it.
Yep, we'll teach them the ways.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Okay. Any final thoughts before we wrap things up here then?
No, I think I'm ready to go. I'm looking forward to Rosetta this weekend.
Yeah. Well, the next time you're playing in the World Premier in Tampa, Florida this weekend, always remember, mind your manners.